Moving on to topic 2. Kind of a little bit of a callback to a previous episode that we had. A while back, we had kind of talked about the game side of things when doing like movies or different media, movies, TV shows, whatever, and their success rate. And we were talking about it because of the Halo show, which I haven't watched, but apparently not doing super great. Sorry, Paramount Plus. So anyways, I was thinking back on this topic, and it got me thinking like, hey, I talked about those Mortal Kombat movies and how at least the first one seemed to be kind of like a cult classic or was really popular. People have fond memories of it. I was like, why don't I go back and rewatch them? There are 2 movies in particular I'm going to talk about today, and that's Mortal Kombat, the original, from 1995, and I'm going to talk about Mortal Kombat Annihilation from 97. I don't know if it was rose-tinted glasses or whatever, but in rewatching these films, there's definitely stuff that I don't know if just didn't age well or whatever, but some not great stuff in these movies. Let's start with the original Mortal Kombat. So Mortal Kombat 1 is definitely the better of these 2 films. It's almost as if it's like a tale of 2 movies. And the way it starts off is very, not campy, but it's rough. You get quick introductions of your characters. Here's your Liu Kang. Here's your Shang Tsung. Here's your Johnny Cage. Here's your Sonya Blade. Here's your Jax. Quick introductions to your characters. And when they interact with each other, it's not great. Acting's not 10 out of 10 here. It's very cut and dry, I guess you could say. And that's like the first part of the movie. You get on into like Act 2 and Act 3, and it picks up. And I think that's definitely a saving grace for this. It's a slow burn at that start, but once you get to that point, it's like, oh, okay, all right, this was good. This was good. It was enjoyable. Some things about that first portion. Graphics, understandably, it's a 1995 movie. Some graphics are not going to age well. Some kind of do. Some work pretty well. I mean, it's not like, obviously, the best CG you're going to see in the world, or obviously up to date, but it's pretty good. It works. There's some, like, transitions of Shang Tsung turning into his, like, skull form or whatever, and that looks great. And then there's other stuff. It's like, oh, reptile. You're an actual reptile in this film. Boy, you don't look like you belong at all. You are just standing out like a sore thumb. Yikes. So there's that. And then, speaking of introductions, I mentioned how they're all relatively quick. We get the introduction to Lord Raiden. Now, if you know the Mortal Kombat games, Lord Raiden, protector of Earthrealm, he's supposed to be this big guiding figure, wise, not prophet, but, teacher, I guess you could say. And he's kind of a joke in this whole movie. He laughs at certain times, like, haha, the end of the world. And doesn't seem uber concerned sometimes when explaining situations to our heroes. And it's odd. But the most odd thing in his introduction, so Liu Kang is essentially going out. His motivation is to get vengeance for his brother. His brother's been murdered, and he wants to get revenge on Shang Tsung, the cause for it. So he goes home to obviously deal with his brother's death. And when returning home to the temple, the monks, Raiden shows up. All the monks are like, oh my god, it's Raiden. They're bowing and all this stuff. And Liu Kang's like, oh, who are you? You're just an old man. Not really super old. And the monks are like, no, treat him with respect, and they're apologizing to Raiden, stuff like that. And Liu Kang says, okay, prove it. And essentially they get in a little fight. Now, by little fight, I mean it's one move. Now, if I was going to convince someone I'm this big important figure. You'd think I'd do something astronomical. Raiden uses lightning. Maybe I'll do some lightning things, or I'll just lay the smack down on you. No. You know how he convinces him he's Raiden? Liu Kang comes in with a punch or some shit. I don't know. A strike. And Raiden does the most dramatic arm flippy-do on Liu Kang. And it's like, oh, it's the end of the world. Like, this was the big move he pulled out of his ass to prove his point. The most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. This freaking arm flip. Just ridiculous. Ridiculous that is what they decided. Oh boy. So anyways, moving on to once we get past the rough stuff. This movie definitely does improve in its second and third act. The fighting in the first act, along with that arm flip, sucks. I will say maybe the Johnny Cage fight is okay. I don't know why movies decide to do leg sweeps. That little thing where they spin around, go low sweep on the ground, looks like ass. I don't know if it was just because they were trying to go with the real actors and not stunt actors, but it's so slow and so hokey. Just looks bad. Don't do it. But once they get on to the second act and start like the tournament stuff, the fights are really good. And props to Robin Shou for that. You might know him from Beverly Hills Ninja, another favorite of mine. This guy is great. And, makes sense. It's in his background, martial arts, stuntman. So of course he's going to do great. His fights that he has, fan-fucking-tastic. Johnny Cage's actor is going to have a fight with Scorpion later on in the movie. And that actually is really good too. It's very compelling with the different levels that they're fighting upon, and obviously dealing with Scorpion's abilities of the fire or the tether from his hand. Works out really, really well. So good on them. Good stuff there. Another highlight of this movie, along with the fights, is their practical effects. Ari mentioned the CG. Iffy at best. When Goro shows up, it looks good. Granted, once again, aged. Duh. It's a movie that's 20 plus years old. Makes sense. But honestly works out really well. Dialogue, lining that up with the puppet, could have been a little bit better. But all four of his arms articulate. He looks like he belongs there. It's not this super standout thing of wow, that is highly robotic or, whatever. Looks good. Props to them. Goro looks great. So we got the fight scenes that look great. We got Goro that looks good. We continue this, and the story really goes in. The tournament has started. This is the one that's deciding the fate of Earthrealm. Outworld has won 9 in a row. If they win a 10th, they can take over Earthrealm. So really comes down to this. And they do a great job of having each of our heroes, fighting, and doing really well. Kind of weird that the tournament's half organized, half not. Half take place in an actual ring where they fight, and then the other half is just if we're Johnny Cage's thing, we're in this weird skeleton construction zone, or we're on the beach. Very odd organization. I don't know how that works, but whatever. But yeah, Goro's going to be built up as a threat. We know him as a previous winner, or at least we're told that in the story. We're going to see him beat up a bunch of jobbers in this film by just essentially throwing them to the ground. Art Lean, unfortunately, R.I.P., is going to get his ass whooped in front of our heroes and is used as a sacrifice to kind of motivate our friends. But yeah, it becomes cool after that. Sonya's going to get captured by Shang Tsung after our heroes have defeated Goro. And we're going to see them deal with Reptile, which, once again, Reptile's a fucking actual reptile in this thing. But then he becomes human like he's supposed to be. And we get another great fight between Reptile and Liu Kang. Good stuff there. Speaking of, music. Fucking dope in this film. Very, very good. Obviously the Mortal Kombat theme. Reptile's theme's fantastic in here. Good. Good on them for the music. And we're going to carry on with the story. Liu Kang's going to have this great fight with Shang Tsung. Gets a moment with his brother's spirit to kind of, heal. Say, I'm sorry, I love you, blah, blah, blah. Spirit's inside you. Good send-off. Then we get our most awkward finish, where all our heroes are strutting down the road. Raiden's still being a goof. Hero moment. Yay, we saved the world. And we immediately build the second one. Thunder, doom, gloom, clouds, everything. Wah! Shao Kahn arrives in the sky as the Emperor threatens Earthrealm. The hero's like, no, Power Ranger style, say they're not going to do that, and then we go to the end credits. So we're immediately building. They had a plan. We're going to do 3 movies. That was their original plan. They only did 2. And it heads immediately into Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Now, when I say immediately, the next movie opens with this same scene. Would that be a bad thing? No, of course not. You want to recap your audience, see where they're at. The weirdest thing, and this is where Annihilation starts to before the explosion. We had our cast, right? We got our 5 heroes standing there. When Annihilation came out, we had recasted a bunch of people. So, out of the 5 that stood there at the end of Mortal Kombat, only 2 remained. Sonya Blade was a different actress, Johnny Cage was a different actor, and Lord Raiden was a different actor. Robin Shou was only one to survive along with Katana's actress. So that's off the bat just like, okay. It's a whole different group of people, especially if you watch these back to back. Just such a big head scratching moment. So now, obviously Shao Kahn's got to be a big bad, and we got to build him up. Remember how I just said Johnny Cage got a new actor? Yeah, fuck that guy. We're gonna kill Johnny Cage. Shao Kahn's gonna come in, kill Johnny Cage, big threat. Oh my god. So we get rid of that actor immediately. Thanks for coming in. Take your money, take your donuts, see you later. And with this fight, it's gonna cause our heroes to kind of retreat and seek more help. Now, I will give Annihilation some props. I didn't watch this one as recently as 95 Mortal Kombat, so I can't give too many details point to point. But one thing I can give Annihilation, this is a fan service movie. Big time. If you're into the Mortal Kombat games, you get so many characters in this movie, so many references. First movie didn't have as many. Obviously, you get the cast of characters that we're going to see, but not a lot of references to the game. Maybe 4 or 5. You get the Get Over Here, like from Scorpion. You get Fatality. You get Liu Kang's repeated kicks in the air, machine gun style. But this one, you get a fuck ton of stuff. So you got Liu Kang, you got Katana, we got Raiden, you got Sonya, who are from the previous movie. Obviously, also Johnny Cage. Then we're going to get Shao Kahn officially being Shao Kahn. We're going to get Shinnok. Sindel's going to be resurrected. We get Jade, Motaro. Oh boy. Shiva, Nightwolf, Ermac. We get Cyrax, Scorpion, Noob Saibot, Rain, Baraka, Smoke, Sub-Zero again, and Melina. Holy crap. A lot of characters. Very, very cool. Do all of them look great? No. Remember Motaro and my oh boy earlier? This man's a centaur. Demon centaur. Yikes. Doesn't look super. Looks okay, doesn't look super. Same with Shiva. No, no, not great. Not great. I get they were doing what they could for the time, but yeah, there's some rough ones in here. So as the movie's gonna go on, we're gonna recruit Jax into our forces. I think he got his metal arms in this movie, which is like confusing because he didn't have metal arms. He still had his arms in the first movie. Yeah. Cyber ninjas are going to attack those two. They'll take care of them. We get this weird point where Liu Kang and Katana have to kind of travel to a different area. But instead of like a teleportation or like just traveling on foot, they take this weird like gyrosphere thing where they have to hold on, like they're standing in an X. They hold on with their two arms and they put their feet in like, I don't know, some sleeves or whatever. And they're just like, not even a foot, maybe 5 inches, 6 inches away from each other, just staring at each other in the face. And they just go through this roller coaster thing. So odd. So odd. So we got that. Raiden, I mentioned being recast. I think this was maybe the only positive recast. And Lord Raiden in this movie is so much better. This guy definitely takes it a little bit more serious, or at least his character is portrayed that way. So I definitely enjoyed that. Especially just knowing the source material or knowing the character. Just way better than whatever was going on in that first movie. So anyways, like I said, I don't know, having not rewatched it compared to MK1 just because of time constraints, I'm just going off of memory and Wikipedia. This movie was kind of all over the place. Like I said, they were fan service. Like, animalities are in here. So Liu Kang's going to learn about his animality from Nightwolf, which will lead to some horrific CG later on when he turns into a dragon. We get that. I think Molina, for being one of my favorite characters, just kind of gets bodied in this film. She's barely in it. You blink and you can miss her. Sindel seems to be like the big bad here, obviously, along with Shao Kahn being resurrected, being brought to this fight to kind of deal with Katana. Makes sense. We kind of ran through that in Mortal Kombat 9 as well later on. Yeah, it's an interesting movie. If you got time and you want to, you enjoy Mortal Kombat and you kind of want to have a laugh, Annihilation's one that's like, oh, you get to see all these cool cameos or like references, but then afterwards you're like, I can see why they didn't make a third one here. This one did not perform super well. They originally did have a 3-picture deal, or that trilogy planned. I wonder where it would have gone from there. I don't remember if it left at a cliffhanger. Let me see. Let's see. Emerge victorious, struggle, animality. Yeah, that graphic of the dragon was gross. Let's see. La 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 la. Shinnok is dealt with by elder gods. Okay, to declare the fate of Earth shall be decided in Mortal Kombat. No shit. Liu defeats Khan and Shinnok is banished to the Netherrealm. Earthrealm reverts to its former state with Khan's hold over Sindel broken. She reunites with Katana. That's awkward. Like, I get she was under a spell, but that is probably one of the weirdest points. I don't know if they do super great explaining it. It's like, I'm really evil. And then all of a sudden, oh my God, you're my favorite daughter. It's like, okay. Raiden is revived. Apparently he died. By the elder gods who bestow upon him his father's former position. So now Raiden's an elder god. Before departing to the immortal realm, he joins Earthrealm warriors He enjoins the Earthrealm warriors to be there for one another. The Earthrealm warriors return home. So there was no cliffhanger after this one. Okay. So maybe the plot would have been following up with Shinnok after being banished. Obviously, Shao Kahn's kind of out of the picture now, being dead. So I assume it'd be Shinnok. Shinnok's the next big bad, as far as my memory is. So we'll have to see. Well, we won't see, actually. Only we can predict. I wonder if there's a script or something out there potentially revealing what that could be. It's weird that it stayed so late. 2009, this film, the third film, was still being talked about. Whatever. But yeah, those movies, it's dumb fun. Once again, it's the things you can go back and just be like, this was a thing. Mortal Kombat 1, I think, is still really good. I can understand why people like it so much. Obviously, it's moments in, I would say, the later part of the film that are really exciting. There's a lot of good dialogue and like memorable moments with Shang Tsung and his dialogue, and seeing that revived in Mortal Kombat 11, the video game, exploring Shang Tsung's island, Shang Tsung looking like his film persona. We get an older version, and then we get the callback to his younger movie self. That was really cool. And walking through, once again, the island and the dinner area and the dungeons and catacombs there, that it was, once again, that rewarding experience for people who have been invested in the story in the long run. And I think NetherRealm does a great job with that, of, rewarding their fans and their players. So cool to see that translate over to the game universe. And then Annihilation, yeah, like I said, just a lot of fan service. I can't pinpoint 100% why it was so bad. Overall, the story's fine. I don't know if it was just like you tried to cram too much into too little, like with all the characters that they're trying to reveal, or if it was just execution, potentially. Some things looked good. Some things definitely didn't look good. I don't know if it's just an age thing of graphics. Who's to say? But yeah, Annihilation is definitely more of the fan service movie out of the two. First one's worth a watch. Second one, I wouldn't blame you for skipping. But yeah. So yeah, those two movies are what they are. It's been interesting to see, obviously, the latest Mortal Kombat movie coming out in 2021. We've done a podcast on that, a review. I thought it was really enjoyable. Wasn't perfect, but it was cool to see the violence in that movie. These movies don't have that as much. Seeing them go to that level, still paying, obviously, homage to the games and stuff like that, but taking a different spin on it with creating a brand new character and putting them into this universe. I think that movie did well enough that will eventually lead to a sequel. But once again, time will tell. But yeah, it was still cool to see that reattempt, I guess you could say, or that redo on this franchise in the film industry. But yeah, just wanted to revisit that, especially after our last conversation of games to TV to movies and their success rate. Mortal Kombat 1? Mortal Kombat Annihilation? Audio listeners aren't going to get that. Good, bad. This has been another episode of the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast. My name is Bret, a.k.a. Enigma9011, and you can catch this podcast live every Sunday over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011 at 8 p.m. Eastern. You join the chat. If you're a subscriber over there, we'd love to have you. But if you can't catch live, that's A-OK. It rolls over on YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, hashtag ad merch store. Get all your swag over there. T-shirts, cups, backpacks, and more. Rep the brand, support us, and we would love you for it. Thank you guys so much for hanging out today. Another short one, short and sweet. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the topics and the conversation. Looking forward to hanging out with you guys again with either me or or another guest. Should be a good time. But thanks for giving this a watch, giving it a listen, and we will see you guys on the next one. Take care.